Barcelona doesn't announce its collapse. It creeps in quietly, apartment by apartment, street by street. 10 years ago, a small studio could be rented for around €650 a month. Tourists still fill the plazas. Cafes still serve coffee under the Mediterranean sun. From the outside, everything seems alive. But behind closed doors, locals are quietly giving up. Some move abroad. Others take jobs as housekeepers in the homes they once owned. Barcelona isn't crashing in headlines. It's slowly forcing its own residents out. This isn't a problem of a few unlucky people. It's systemic. Rents are rising faster than wages. Housing supply hasn't kept up. Empty luxury apartments sit unused while people scramble for affordable space. And the policies meant to fix this? Often too late, or ineffective, leaving the city's future uncertain. If you want to see how this problem started and why it's only getting worse, stay with me. Subscribe and comment if you've ever thought about leaving your own city because it became impossible to live there. 2 decades ago, Barcelona seemed unstoppable. Spain was riding a wave of growth. Construction boomed. Developers built endlessly, creating neighborhoods faster than anyone could imagine. Between 2000 and 2009, millions of homes were added, many in prime locations. On the surface, it looked like a golden age. Unemployment dropped, wages grew, and young people finally saw opportunity. Foreign investment poured in, driving demand higher. People bought second and third homes, often as investments rather than places to live. Prices surged. Locals initially benefited from the rising economy. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. The focus on luxury housing and short-term rentals meant that affordable options were being squeezed out. By 2007, the percentage of foreigners in Barcelona had risen sharply, many drawn not by culture, but by profit. The city became a market, a playground for wealthy outsiders. While the economy looked healthy, native residents began to feel the subtle pressure. Their salaries couldn't match the escalating rents, their neighborhoods started to change, and the city that once offered stability now started to demand sacrifice. It was the start of a slow, quiet displacement, one that would intensify after the financial crash, reshaping Barcelona's very identity. Then 2008 came. The global financial crisis didn't just hit Barcelona. It shook every foundation the city had been built on. Construction, once the lifeblood of the economy, collapsed almost overnight. Thousands of jobs vanished. Bricklayers, electricians, and young professionals who had counted on steady growth suddenly found themselves without work. Homes that had seemed like secure investments lost value. Families who had taken on mortgages during the boom struggled to make payments. Empty buildings multiplied across the city, many in neighborhoods far from the tourist centers, poorly connected and abandoned. These weren't just numbers. These were homes, communities, and dreams frozen in limbo. For locals, the crash wasn't a temporary setback. It was a shift in reality. Salaries stagnated, rent continued to climb, and the system that once promised opportunity now punished anyone who wasn't wealthy enough to play the game. The streets remained lively, the cafes open, but inside, the lives of those who grew up in the city were quietly shrinking. Barcelona looked the same, but the life inside it was slowly slipping away, and no one outside could see it yet. After the crash, Barcelona didn't just stop building. The city froze. Hundreds of thousands of newly constructed apartments stood empty, fully built but unoccupied. Developers had little incentive to create more when existing homes sat unsold, and many of these units were poorly located, far from schools, transportation, or jobs. Meanwhile, locals who survived the crash faced skyrocketing rents. Affordable housing became nearly non-existent. Young professionals had no choice but to stay with their parents or leave the city entirely. Families delayed children. Elderly residents saw neighbors move away, streets become quieter, familiar shops replaced by short-term rentals or souvenir stores. These empty homes became symbols of a system that valued profit over people. The very city meant to be a home for its citizens was now a market for investors. And with supply blocked, demand only intensified, pushing prices higher and higher, making Barcelona less and less livable for the people who had grown up there. The city remained vibrant on the surface, yet inside, life was quietly being pushed out of the doors and windows of thousands of residents. While Barcelona's supply of homes stalled, the city's population kept growing. Migration surged over the past 2 decades, both from other parts of Spain and abroad. By 2023, immigrants made up nearly 20% of the population. Many were seeking work, education, or a fresh start, but others arrived looking for investment opportunities. This influx created an invisible pressure. Apartments once meant for families became short-term rentals. Neighborhoods that had grown organically now catered to tourists or expats with deeper pockets. Locals were left competing not just with each other, but with a market that treated housing as an asset, not a necessity. The combination of stagnant wages, restricted supply, and rising demand formed a perfect storm. Even small studios became unaffordable for average residents. Young people who dreamed of moving to the city for jobs had no chance of finding a home. The streets that were once familiar began to feel like they belonged to everyone but the people who had lived there for generations. Barcelona had become a city where living was possible, but surviving felt impossible, and the most vulnerable were the ones who felt it first. By 2025, renting in Barcelona became a daily calculation of survival. This isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's people skipping birthdays, friends moving away, children never knowing their own neighborhoods. Many young professionals abandon careers or leave Spain entirely, draining the city of the energy and talent it desperately needs. The streets stay crowded with tourists and expats, yet locals feel invisible, trapped in a city they can't afford to live in. The spiral feeds itself. As more people leave, fewer affordable apartments are released. Investors continue to buy property for profit, further driving up costs. Barcelona becomes a city built for outsiders, leaving its original residents to navigate a system that increasingly forgets they exist. This isn't just a housing problem. It's a social fracture, the slow erosion of communities, the quiet disappearance of lives once rooted in the city. The government has tried to respond. Proposals for a 100% tax on property purchases by non-EU buyers, regulations on short-term rentals, and incentives for affordable housing all aim to relieve the pressure. But these measures are often reactive, delayed, or poorly enforced. For years, inaction allowed the problem to grow unchecked. Luxury developments flourished, empty apartments multiplied, and locals were forced to pay the price. Even now, policies designed to help ordinary residents risk unintended consequences. If foreign investment disappears too quickly, developers lose incentive to build new homes, tightening supply even further. Barcelona has become a cautionary tale. The city looks alive, vibrant, and welcoming, but for its people, life is increasingly fragile. The policies that might have prevented this crisis came too late, leaving many trapped in an unaffordable reality. The city continues to move forward, streets filled with tourists, events, and celebrations. Yet for the residents who built their lives here, survival has replaced thriving. And the question remains, can Barcelona ever restore balance, or has the city become one that serves everyone except its own citizens? Looking ahead, the city faces an uncertain horizon. Housing prices show no signs of falling. New construction remains limited, blocked by empty luxury apartments and cautious developers. Population growth continues, especially in major urban areas, keeping demand high. For young people, the dream of building a life in Barcelona is slipping away. Many leave for smaller towns, other countries, or cities with cheaper rent. Families postpone having children, while the elderly struggle to maintain homes they've lived in for decades. Communities that once thrived now face quiet decay. Yet the city persists. Cafes open every morning. Tourists wander the Gothic quarter. Festivals light the streets with color and music. From the outside, Barcelona is alive. But behind closed doors, its residents carry the weight of a city that no longer fully belongs to them. The future of living in Barcelona is not just about economics. It's about identity, community, and the fragile promise of home. And unless change comes soon, one of Europe's most beautiful cities may remain vibrant in appearance, but hollow at its heart.